Hello and a very warm welcome to Meghan and Harry News YouTube channel. Yesterday I was talking about the toxic media and how one of their strategies is to continually put out stories attempting to frame Charles as the peacemaker, as the person who is always offering an olive branch of friendship to them, and how this is most probably the complete opposite of what is going on, and how it most likely the international smear campaign against Meghan and Harry stems from the firm themselves. And this crazy and insane daily negative campaign is the cause of all the problems, the reason Meghan and Harry left the royal family in the first place. But of course, the toxic media try to create an illusion of how Charles and the royal family only want to make things better. Today there is another good example of this nonsense. In fact, it's quite interesting because if you look at the headlines, is it not referring to the possibility that Charles at some point was something less than human? Here we see King Charles humanised by feud with Prince Harry as he knows what side public is on. Was King Charles not human before his feud with Harry? That is what this headline is implying, that he was not human and this feud humanised him. Is it implying that King Charles was bereft of what we consider of traits that belong specifically to humans, such as being able to love, plan ahead, have intuition, be caring, having empathy towards others, have an emotional sense with respect to understanding, sense of perception and cleanliness, being charitable? Is it suggesting that he didn't have these? That's what the headline says, but not to worry, his feud with Harry has made him human, or as it says, it has humanised him. And it's only humanised him because he knows what side the public is on. How curious. So it hasn't humanised him because he looks at his son and thinks, oh, isn't this sad that my own flesh and blood feels ostracised from me? No, it's only humanised him because he knows what side the public are on. And this is the propaganda the firm want the mass public to see, to try and make them think that the firm and King Charles are the good guys in this situation. They are delusional. This story is a good sign at how desperate the media and the firm are to get the public on their side. If they are telling you in the toxic media that the public are on his side, you can rest assured that it isn't. It goes on to quote a friend of King Charles, an anonymous insider, and we all know what an anonymous insider is a keyword for. It means the firm's PR. The anonymous insider says it's all very sad, but it mirrors what happens in a lot of families, so it humanises him. What's clear is the side of the public has come down, and that's reassuring to him. It's just another silly story trying to make the public think that the firm are kind and benevolent and only want everybody to be friends, and of course have nothing to do with the vicious, nefarious international smear campaign against Meghan and Harry that has been going on for maybe 4-5 years now. All because their popularity and the crowds that drew at their Australian tour in 2018 was so much bigger, so much greater than theirs that it put their noses out of joint, made them jealous and insecure, and hence why you have the massive smear campaign, which then backfired because Meghan and Harry then left. They quit and financed themselves, which made them even more angry because it showed the world that the royal family don't need to be taking money every week from all UK working taxpayers. Some stories flying around today about King Charles and Harry planning on having a meeting to apparently iron out their differences. Now, do you think this story is true, or is it yet more propaganda from the firm? Propaganda that once again uses Meghan and Harry to shoehorn members of the royal family into news articles that nobody would be interested in reading otherwise, if it wasn't for Meghan and Harry's name being attached. Exact date King Charles and Prince Harry will meet for peace talks is set, claims source, but it's highly unlikely Meghan Markle will be there. The king and his son will likely have peace talks in London, a source told OK. So this comes from OK magazine, which has a woefully bad reputation for writing absolute nonsense. It says here the exact date that King Charles and Prince Harry are likely to meet for peace talks has been revealed, but Meghan Markle isn't expected to be there, according to a well-placed source. Now, as I said before, when these articles say a well-placed source or an anonymous insider, it's usually the firm's PR team, and this story is designed to keep the royal family in the news, as has been stated on here many times before. The royal family have become very boring to the UK public, so they use Meghan and Harry constantly now to bring interest and attention to them. The negative attention is also to diminish their popularity while trying to falsely gain popularity for the tired royal family. That is why they constantly attempt to pour scorn on everything they do, because they are actually doing things unlike the firm. As such, it's thought that the pair could meet with one another in the hopes of smoothing out tensions within the royal family. Following the release of the Duke of Sussex's explosive memoir Spare and his wife's Netflix docuseries, staff are reportedly making plans for the peace talks to take place on September the 17th, ahead of the King's trip to France on September the 20th, a source told OK magazine. The source said King Charles is due to return to London from Balmoral in the middle of September, which ties in with the end of Harry's Invictus Games trip to Dusseldorf. The King has a rescheduled official visit to France on September the 20th, so has a few days to spare in London to meet with his son. Staff are trying to fine-tune the details as we speak. The insider added that Charles was also understood to have been upset by the claims his son made in his memoir Spare, particularly those concerning his wife Queen Camilla, who Harry felt had sacrificed me on her personal PR altar. If the talks take place, the King will make it very clear that there will be absolutely no private family business discussed in public moving forward, they told OK. Okay, so in my opinion, this story is completely and utter made-up nonsense, as most of these stories are, and the real reason behind it is that the firm are backpedaling, because the international smear campaign has been ongoing for 4 years now. It's like a constant onslaught of negativity directed at them from every corner. Because the smear campaign now looks so obviously orchestrated, arranged and staged, and the public are starting to wonder, why is there so much negativity against these two? Why and where is it really coming from? And many are looking at the firm. Then they put out these silly stories to say Charles is looking to have peace talks, or they will say Charles is offering an olive branch, or Charles has invited them to whatever. These stories exist in an attempt to fool the public into thinking Charles and the firm are trying to sort out the problem, when the reality is most probably quite the opposite, that it is quite possibly them whom all the trouble originates, and these stories are trying to disguise that. And once again we have another article that is basically trying to convince the public of something being the complete opposite of what it is. It is literally the direct opposite of the truth, and once again I will try to deconstruct this nonsense, dissect this article and pull it to pieces, which is very easy to do, and show you what it is. Although many of you on here will already know this, but it is quite amazing how these organisations can say things that are completely in reverse to what really happens. And they don't seem to care about integrity or their reputation. Even what they say now completely contradicts what they have said many times before. Here we see Harry and Meghan had support to succeed until they started throwing trash bombs. According to the Mirror's royal editor Russell Myers, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had a lot of public support when they quit their royal roles, but this quickly ran out when they tried to hurt the royal family. So this organisation is very much part of the international smear campaign against them that has been going on for 4 years now. Harry and Meghan had support when they left the royal family. Well, they certainly didn't have support from any of the media. Do you not remember the headlines that this paper printed? Do you not remember the incessant, unhinged and obsessive rants of the likes of Piers Morgan on Good Morning TV every day? The multitude of negative articles about how Meghan and Harry had blindsided the Queen, not forgetting that the reason they were leaving the royal family was because they were both depressed and harassed by the UK media and overseas media for a long time, even before they announced they were leaving, a negative smear campaign that was launched purely because they were so much more popular than the other members of the royal family, which was to be seen so obviously when they went to tour Australia. This popularity put the other members of the royal family's noses out of joint. They were jealous, so that is why an international smear campaign suddenly appeared to diminish their popularity. And this is what made them want to leave not only the firm, but also the UK. Yet here is this article claiming that they had support before they launched trash bombs. The trash bombs were coming from the firm and the international toxic media smear campaign, long before they left. It's only in the last year Meghan and Harry have released documentaries and a book, and that is self-defense. They had to tell their side of the story because of the astounding amount of lies put out by the toxic media, in their never-ending crusade to tarnish their name. Yet here we see now 4 years later an article pretending to paint the picture that Meghan and Harry had support before they released a documentary and a book. They had nothing of the sort. The reality is that the firm and the international media have been lobbing orchestrated trash bombs at them numerous times a day, every day, for the past 4 years. All of this trash usually comes from an anonymous insider. They are most usually complete rubbish and fabricated, and some speculate that these anonymous insiders sometimes originate from the PR of the firm themselves.